Hello and welcome back to KGC Engineering. Now, for a little break from our mini project that I've obviously been working very hard on recently, it's time to turn our attention to one of the small jobs on our MG BGT project, which we've also got, which is in our sort of finishing area. It's where I like to put the cars back together, so our mini will eventually end up in here. Today's task is actually going to be to fit some brand new brake lines to it. So I'm going to give you a demonstration of how to put together the brake lines and get them in nice and neat. So let's get stuck into it. Right, well, I'm actually going to show you how to put together the ones for the front end. So the ones that go from the brake caliper to the union. So I'm only going to show you one side because the principles are exactly the same for all of them across the whole car. But first, I think it's important to sort of tell you about the brake pipes and the ones that I particularly use, which again are the common standards for everybody. So for the flexible brake pipes, I like to use the Goodrich range. They are really good sets and made up nicely, so you get everything you need in them in the set. So that goes from the caliper to the joints. And it's the same on the rear for these. For the MGB, you need 3 of these. For things like Triumph, Spitfires and so on, you need 4 because you've got independent suspension on the back. But yeah, they're easy enough to get hold of and easy enough to work with. And because it's made up to the right length, generally they fit very well. And the others, for the actual copper pipes, I like to use the Automech sets because you can buy a whole set to do the car. So if you buy an MGB set, all the pipes to do an MGB are in the pack. So you don't need to think about making up or trying to make up your own or anything like that. Just for the sake of, I think it's like 80 quid, just buy the whole pack. And if you're renewing brake lines, you're going to be renewing all of them. So you might as well get the pack, which are all made up to length. So they're all the right length with the right fittings on, and they fit together with the Goodrich set, so they're all compatible with each other, and it's really important to do that. The other good thing about the Automech copper pipe work is that you actually get a little information sheet as well, with a load of numbers and where the pipe work goes, and those numbers relate to a little yellow tag, which hopefully you can see there on the pipe, which floats up and down the pipe work, which has the number on, and that, like I say, it relates to that. So that's number 2. So that is the right hand front. So I know exactly where that bit of pipe goes, because obviously when you open the box, you've got a box full of pipe where you think, where the bloody hell does all this go? They've been clever and put the thing in there. So I know which 2 pipes I need for today's job, because I'm just like I say, going to fit the front end out. So it's time to get stuck into it. Right, so this is the right hand front caliper here. So this is obviously the bit which actually stops the wheels. So we've got the brake shoes are in there. They have been in for quite a while, but they are actually new. They might not look it, but they are actually new. So this should be fine. So obviously we've got on the front end, we've got steering to compete with and the suspension as well. So this is why at the front end you have the flexible brake hoses, and these lead across to a fixed bracket, which is actually over here. So this is where the flexible brake pipe will come to meet the copper brake pipe to go to the union and to complete the system. So to put these in, I know it's probably teaching a few people to suck eggs, this, but obviously with the flexible ones you've got 2 ends to the pipe, and for the MGB, one end should be a lot shorter. So we've got the short end and we've got a much longer end. If I just show you that, so we've got a short one and a long one. and the shorter one wants to go into the caliper. If it's a new caliper, you'll probably have a little like bung in it like that, and you should just pull out. And that's just to stop any rubbish and dirt getting in there, which is important to obviously make sure that you do. So in the pack from Goodrich, you will also have a copper washer and a extra nut for each set. And what you want to do is to put the copper washer on top of onto the short end, and then screw that into the caliper. Being careful not to touch the nicely painted bodywork. So you screw that right in, and then we'll tighten that up. So a suitable sized spanner, and we'll just get it really nice and tight, because what the copper washer is doing is it's literally just helping the brake pipe create a seal between the pipe and the caliper, because obviously we don't want any leaky brakes, because that would not be very good at all. So the other end then should flex around far enough. I mean, at the moment I've got the caliper out at full extension, so let's just rotate the steering a bit, and it should go into the top or the bottom. Go into the bottom from underneath like so. The reason it goes that way is, one, it's an easier run for it, and two, that's the way the locking tab is on, because we've not actually taken those off. So the locking nut, which you got with the pipes, then goes down on the top, all the way to the bottom. When it gets down there we go. So then that will then you then tighten that up, and that's your flexible pipe fitted. So you can see it moves quite happily with the with the steering. So that's pretty good. That's that's going to be nice. So the next task is to fit the copper pipe from here to the union. Now the union is around here somewhere on the other side, inside the engine bay. So it's got to loop up and over, down, round just under the chassis leg there, around the back. Don't ever put it between the subframe block and the chassis leg. Put it around the back and straight up. So let's grab that bit of pipe and see about doing some bending. Right, so with the copper pipe now, we've got two different ends to it. So we've got a wider female type end, and we've got a thinner male type end. I'm sure I don't need to explain why they're called male and female. It should be fairly obvious to those of you who have been to school. So, when we get new pipes, it's always good to sort of lengthen, try and straighten them out as best you can, so that you can sort of see, right, we've got a good length of pipe we can work with. And a good tool to get is one of these, and this is a pipe bender. Now this makes bending the pipes a lot easier and a lot neater as well, because you can just get some really nice curves and good shape to it without damaging the pipe, which is important, because we don't want any kinks or anything in there. We want to try and get it to flow as nice as possible, because if we get kinks in there, that can create potential rupture points for the pipe, so it could then snap, which leads to leaky brakes, which leads to accidents, and obviously we don't want any of that. So I know that the female end goes on to our fixed point off our flexible pipe, which I've just put in. So I know it needs, so it's going to sit on top like that, and I know it's got to bend over that way, down, round and under. So we've got to make quite a funky bit of a shape. So to use one of these, you get your bit of pipe in there. Let's move that bit out of the way, and clamp it up to where you want it, and then quite simply, hopefully you'll see this and it'll work. So we're going like that, up and over. So we've now got a really nice bend on our copper pipe here. Now the good thing about this pipe bender is it's got 3 different sizes, so it's also quite useful for doing your fuel pipe as well, as it's, you know, works in exactly the same way, although it may be a bit stiffer to adjust like that. So we've now got a nice bend on the top of there, and I can just straighten that and pull that down a little bit more, because I know it's got to go up and over. So I can now quickly, whilst I'm here, just test and see how it looks in there. I'm just giving it a quick test fit, so I'll just grab the camera so you can hopefully see in there. So we've now got the brake pipe on the top. It's only loose, I've only just placed it on because we're just still making a pipe up, and that will go over there towards the chassis like so. So it looks nice. So I need to put another bend, another 90 bend, probably starting about there somewhere, so it can start looping under. So I'm just going to grab hold of that, and we want to go that way with it. So I'll put that in the pipe bender and just hold it. So I want to go that way, and then just bend it around. So that's now going to go under the chassis with any luck. So let's see how I've done. Not too bad. So as we can see, hopefully see that now, that we've got a nice bit of pipe going up and over, and it's now heading right underneath the chassis leg, exactly where we want it. So I'm going to keep that a little bit loose, because we want it loose for now until we've made the whole pipe up. So I now need to go into the engine bay and see whereabouts it's got to go to get up to that union. So let's go and have a look. Okay, so apologies if this suddenly gets a little bit wobbly. It's purely because I've had to go handheld for this moment. So obviously I'm now sort of sat in the engine bay, with the engine out, which is obviously a good thing. So we need to look at, you know, where the pipe work is going. So we've got the one from the rear brakes coming to the front here, and this one here is our new one, which we've just started putting in. So I know that obviously it's got to come up, it's got to bend up here, up and over the chassis leg, and up into the bottom of the union here. So we've got to make sure we get it under the steering arm as well when we come to put it in. So it's got to get to there. So I'll need to put at least one more bend in to, you know, get it to point up in the direction that we want. Oh good, I did bring it with me. So I was just thinking then, have I brought the pipe bender with me? Because I'm going to try and do this one a little bit in situ to try and make it a bit easier. So let's have a go. Let's put the camera over there. There we go. I think that's a bit easier than me trying to sort of hold it and do all this at the same time. So, like I said, we've got our brake pipe here, and we know we want to get it up to there. So again, we're going to need another right-angled bend on it. So I'm going to try and do this one in situ. So pull it up. Like so. See, that's now come up quite nice. There we we've got a bit of adjustment there, so because the pipe works flexible enough, you can bend it around things quite happily. And then that's ready to go into the bottom of the union now, like so. So hopefully you can just about see there now that once that's all together, it'll sort of come together. So we've got the pipe now comes up there, across the top of the chassis, under the steering rack, because obviously you want it out of the way, and straight into there, which is great. So the other thing I've got down here is the one for the rear brakes, which we just move out of the way before. Now the one for the rear brakes needs to go into the back of our union piece. So again, I'm going to need to do a bit of adjustment and things with this to get this in nice. I think with this one I'm going to start at this end and then work it towards the back, because I can take up some slack along the length of the car. Because really what I want to do is get this looking quite nice around here, with the 3 sets of pipes all coming down and splitting off quite nicely. And you can, if you wanted to, you could just throw it all together, and it would work, but it wouldn't look quite nice. And I think if you take a bit of time and a bit of pride in what you're doing, you can have a really nice professional looking set of brake pipes on there, and you think, yeah, it looks like you've taken your time with it, and that, which is, to me, is always a good thing. So that's essentially how you fit the brake pipes in. So I think that will conclude our video. So there we are. That's how to put your brake pipes onto, well, any classic car. It doesn't have to be an MGB, it could be any classic car. It's a nice, simple enough task to do, but if you've never done it before, obviously it can be a little bit daunting, thinking, oh, just doing the brakes. Brakes are obviously incredibly important to the car, to make sure that it's safe to use. So if you are in any doubt, then get a professional or somebody who has done it before, to give you a hand with it. So anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, do please remember to give us a good old thumbs up. Also make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well, because it really does help us out. And basically, until next time, happy classic motoring.